In this video, I'm going to discuss a phishing campaign that I looked into today, looking at both the phishing email as well as the phishing domains and discussing how to detect and what to look out for in these kind of things and what you can do to mitigate such a thing. Starting with the actual phishing email, this email came directly from Microsoft 365 to an organization, and it came from a sender that was known and trusted by the recipient, and it was email notifying the recipient that the sender had shared something with the user and to click a link to get access to the shared file. Now, this email was sent directly from Microsoft 365, and we see that OneNote icon in the middle of the page, indicating that it's going to get pointed to a OneNote page. And what's highlighted here is that this link only works for the direct recipients of this message, meaning the person who sent it held locked down that only the recipient who they sent it to can actually get into the actual email, which is a shared file, essentially. Now, once you go ahead and click the open link, it takes you to this page here where it asks you to put the email address in, one that is valid, that the sender had put the email address in to share it with the user. So if you put in a random email address that the sender didn't approve to be shared, it won't work. Once you put that email address in, it'll send a 6-digit code code to the user. Again, this is legitimately from Microsoft 365 where you can share files externally. And once you put the code in, here's where it takes the user to a shared OneNote page where another link was put here to try to get the user to click this link to then go to likely a malicious site. Now, the one thing to note is that this is a legitimate Microsoft 365 page where attackers have been, very commonly been doing this after they compromise an account to create this shared OneNote file and share that out because it's infrastructure that's hosted on the Microsoft 365 platform. The spam filters can't get this far due to authentication requirements of, again, locking down from a sharing perspective. And then and if you have any like DNS content filtering and things that looking at where you're going at, this is a SharePoint site essentially to where it's typically not going to get flagged. Looking into this a little bit further, once you click the link and see where it goes to, here's where it starts getting a little bit shady here. Notice on the top it's .ru. You should not be expecting to go to unless you're in Russia, you shouldn't be expecting to go to a .ru site. And what we see on the screen here is a Cloudflare front end looking to stop bots from being able to get past the phishing site. And if you click on verify you're a human, it'll make you click a checkbox and sometimes make you go through a CAPTCHA depending on Cloudflare's logic on if they think you're a bot. This is legitimate components of Cloudflare, and attackers misuse this to hide their phishing infrastructure behind stuff like this. This is an extremely common tactic used by threat actors to sort of protect their phishing domains. Once you go ahead and click that verification, here's where it actually takes you to the phishing site. One of the things to note is, again, looking at the domain, this ends in a .ru. This is a known phishing platform where we've been seeing threat actors, specifically with Cloudflare frontend with .ru. They use very specific user agents when they try to authenticate to a Microsoft 365 account. So you see here, it looks like a Microsoft 365 sign-in page. The reason it looks like one is because it is one. What they're doing is that when you put your email address in, it'll ask you for your your password. When you do that, it actually validates your account online in real time to make sure that you're putting your credentials in. And what this allows you to do additionally is it'll actually allow you to go through multi-factor authentication. So if you have push notifications set up, if you have SMS verification set up, it'll actually facilitate that multi-factor authentication with Microsoft 365 and allow you to go through the multi-factor authentication prompt to then Microsoft will then respond with a session token, and they get a copy of that, and with just that session token alone, they can log into the account without any further authentication. So that's how essentially it's called an adversary in the middle attack, and that's essentially how they can compromise accounts, is even with and especially if they have multi-factor authentication. So unfortunately, Multi-factor authentication, the common ones that are used with the Microsoft Authenticator, with SMS, stuff like that, they're all susceptible to this kind of attack. The only things that aren't are phish-resistant multi-factor authentication, or if you get granular with conditional access policies, there's things you can do to lock your infrastructure down to mitigate these kind of attacks. So in summary, in terms of detection, if someone shares something with you, question is, are you expecting it? Even if you are expecting it, does sort of what you're, the different pages that you go to, is that expected? Number one thing also is to always look at the domain that you're on. Even if what you see on the screen is a Microsoft 365 login page, always look at the domain on top. Do that validation to make sure that you're on the right domain. And if you have any questions, reach out to the person who sent it on a known trusted form of communication. Don't just reply to the email. Attackers can be sitting on their email account, and they're pretty quick to respond. It's something that I see, on occasion where attackers will actually respond to the users. Yes, this email is totally safe and secure. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.